and share my screen. Yes. And can you guys see?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Thank you. Yay. Okay. And I want to see you guys. All right. And then help me out here. So I can see my screen and I can see you guys. Can you see it all, or do you just see my screen?
I'm on my phone, so I just see your screen and you.
Okay.
I see
Yeah,
both.
it's in presentation mode, so I think you're good.
I'm good. Thanks, Simon.
If that's what you I think we're asking.
That's what I'm asking. Thank you. I just want to make sure everybody's seeing what they need to see. Okay, perfect. So we'll get rolling. And again, this is pretty informal, so there's really no rules. So if you have a question, like, you don't have to wait till the end. Just pop yourself off mute and ask away. And I apologize, like, if I don't see the chat right away, like, again, just take yourself off mute and it's all good. So welcome to this webinar, Unleash Your Inner Confidence. We're all here probably with the same goal. We just need a little confidence boost or some tips from this class. And we'll dive right in. So I'm connected with a lot of you in person, which is amazing. And I have also some new faces. So thank you for being in my world. I am Lisa Kern. I'm a holistic therapist and Reiki master. I'm just, if you can't tell, I'm like so excited to have you guys here today. I am a mom of two incredible kiddos. They're 11 and 13. So when you think of it, send me some love, because as great as they are, they're tough ages. My background is in occupational therapy, but my passion is in energy healing and helping people live to their greatest potential. My journey has been filled with ups and downs and a lot of challenges, but through them, I discovered self-confidence and how to live an authentic life. And really, that's why I'm here kind of sharing these stories. So I'm going to give you some powerful examples to help you bridge the gap from self-doubt to self-confidence. And before we get started, if anybody has like popped in and you want to say hi, please feel free to like share anything. And if you want to just get rolling, that's fine too. But I want to make sure I give anybody the opportunity to say hello if they haven't. So feel free to interrupt. But just to kind of like recap, for a long time, I really did not believe in myself. I had really low confidence and low self-esteem. I was really in the habit of like seeking external validation from others, and I really struggled to speak up in life, in relationships, in workspaces, and it really wasn't a strong suit for me. And it wasn't until I learned to listen to my own intuition and trust myself and build my confidence that my whole life started to change, and I started to validate myself from within, which just transformed my life. So since then, I've written and published a book. I've co-authored in 2 books that were award-winning. I've been featured in a couple magazines. I traveled the world, and I was able to quit my 9-to-5 to live my life by design instead of by default. And I say this, I promise, like, not to brag, but because I wish I learned this shit sooner. So because I finally learned it, I want to share it. I feel like that's my mission. So that's why I'm here tonight with you guys. So let me know. Feel free to take yourself off mute. Have you ever felt like you're not enough despite achieving so much? Like you're collecting, I'm seeing some nods. Yeah, like you have the title, you passed the accolades, you've got the certificates, you have like all these things, your resume is so long, but you don't feel like you're enough. So let me know if that resonates for you. Yeah. So your takeaways for this course, we're going to identify the story that you've been telling yourself, because it's a story. You're going to become the scientist of your own life and really kind of dig deep. So there will be some like actionable steps here. So I hope you have a notebook. You're going to unlearn some things that you thought were true. You're going to reframe negative belief. We're going to identify and then reframe those negative beliefs. And you're going to rewrite a new, unshakable confidence story. Yay! You guys excited? I'm excited. Okay. So I think many of us have experienced like we're not enough even when we've accomplished. Oh, one thing I want to say too is today was not an accident because I'm crazy about numbers and dates and energy. And I don't know if you know, but there's a new moon, or it was a couple of days ago, in the sign of Leo. And Leo is very much about like wanting to be seen and like harnessing your inner confidence and your personal power. So, and then tomorrow, I won't go crazy into it because this is like a whole other topic, but it's 8-8. 8 is a really powerful number and it's the Lionsgate portal. So this is like such between the new moon and the Lionsgate portal and you guys receiving this information in such a timely manner is a perfect time to like set your intentions on who you want to become and how you want to show up moving forward. So I just want you to know that there was some intention behind today's date and the topic so that you guys can feel really empowered by the time this is over. So I hope that these are making sense for you. So first, let's just define confidence. And we probably all have like a pretty good understanding of what confidence is. And I can't take credit for this definition, but I love it. It's from a really great book that I read, Radical Confidence by Lisa Bilyeu. I don't know if you guys are familiar with her. She's the co-founder of Quest Nutrition, which is a protein bar. But anyway, this is how she describes it. One, it's the ability to believe in yourself, even when you have insecurities, when you feel vulnerable or feel like total shit. So that's so true, right? So because we need to feel confident even when we're not our best self, we need to feel worthy of like just who we are right now. And number two, a tool. Confidence is a tool. I like to say a muscle that can be strengthened, developed, or when necessary, faked. Like sometimes you just have to fake it until you make it. And I think that's important to know that confidence is a muscle because we're not born with confidence, right? But it can be developed. And also, I think sometimes we get the impression, at least I do in my head, that like a confident woman is this like, or confident person is this strong, like cape is billowing in the wind and like they look perfect all the time. And that's not true, right? Like confidence, we're not only confident when we like look good and feel good. Confidence comes from messing up and then showing up again, right? Like we're human. Like we have to make these mistakes and then next time keep showing up even when we've been knocked down. It's like you wouldn't go to the gym one time and expect abs and be like, well, not doing that again. That didn't work, right? Like you show up, you build this muscle, you just keep showing up, you know. So let me know if you have a different idea of confidence, or give me like a thumbs up if this makes sense to you and you understand that this is something that like you can build and cultivate, because I want to make sure we're on the same page. Yeah, everybody's good. I'm just gonna check the chat real quick. Oh, we got a Leo here. Cool. Awesome. Thank you. All right. Hey, Sabrina.
Hi.
Hi. I was like, I think somebody else is here. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. Okay, so that's our definition of confidence. And I like this quote too: no amount of self-improvement can make up for any lack of self-acceptance. So take that in for a minute and let's dive into what that means. The difference between self-improvement and self-acceptance, both are important, obviously, for personal growth, but they serve different purposes. So self-improvement is about striving to be better. It's setting goals, it's pushing yourself and constantly working on your skills, which is amazing. We need this. This is like training for a marathon. So you set a goal, you put in the work, you show up, you cross the finish line. Awesome. But without self-acceptance, it turns into a never-ending like chase for perfection. It's like running on a treadmill and it never stops. So no matter how fast you go or how long you run, you always feel like you're not quite there yet. So that's the same thing with like chasing the accolades, chasing the certificates, but not feeling like, when am I gonna be enough, right? Like I stand on my head and do all these things and like I still don't feel worthy. And that can lead to feeling pretty freaking crappy and burnt out, right? So, and I'll give another example, like you're working really hard to get a promotion at work and you take on extra projects and you're working late hours and you're pushing yourself to do more and like be seen, and that's self-improvement and that's fine. But if you're constantly telling yourself like I'm not good enough, or like I'm not worthy until I get the promotion, then you're setting yourself up almost for failure. Like if you don't get or if you do get the promotion, you still might not feel satisfied because there's always going to be another goal. Like, so what we're going to do tonight is get to the root of like, why don't I ever feel fulfilled, even though I have all the things, I have all the titles, I have like on paper everything that should make me happy, but yet like something is still missing. So that's where self-acceptance comes in. So that's about recognizing your worth right now. Right now, as you are, without your titles, without your accolades, who you are is you saying, I showed up, this is me, I'm doing my best, period. Like that's enough. We need to get to the point where your self-acceptance is enough, because that's the foundation. So, and then if your foundation is stable, then your self-improvement becomes so much healthier because it's built on a healthier platform. Excuse me. So you're not striving to be better because it's not coming from a place of lack. You're striving to be better because you believe in your potential and you want to grow. So that's like the key difference there. I hope that makes sense. I just wanted to touch on that. So these are, sorry, excuse me. Common reasons for self-doubt. There's so many, so I tried to pick out the top 4. People pleasing, imposter syndrome, perfectionism, and negative self-talk. So I feel like if we went into depth in all of these, we would be here all night long. So for the sake of time, I'm going to review the 2 that I think are the most common. But let me know in the chat, excuse me, which one you think holds you back, or take yourself off mute. Put a 1 or hold up a 1. I can't see everybody though, so you might have to take yourself off. If it's people pleasing, a 2 if it's imposter syndrome, 3 if it's perfectionism, and 4 if you are your own worst enemy and it's your negative self-talk. So again, pop yourself off or put it in the chat. I'll check off 1, 3, 4. Yep, I assumed it was going to be people pleasing and negative. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yeah. Okay, so we'll touch on them definitely. Yeah, negative self-talk. Okay. Right, it's very common. So, and it's just important to like see where it comes from, and how crazy, right? That like we're our own worst enemy in this. Like our negativity is often the thing that's holding us back. So, people pleasing, spoiler alert, starts usually in childhood. And that probably like isn't such a big surprise, but many of us learn early on that being agreeable and accommodating gets us positive attention. And maybe if we weren't getting that attention at home, we really needed that. We really were seeking that validation from other people, from parents, from teachers, right? A lot of people pleasers were like the teacher's pet. We're seeking that from peers, right? Like those early ages, all we want to do is fit in. So these we start to prioritize like other people's wants and needs over our own because we're just serving. We're just trying to like get people to like us. And that behavior is reinforced by praise and rewards, and it leads us to believe that our value is tied outside of us. So like other people, there's that external validation, right? So that comes from childhood because we weren't getting what we needed. So we were filling our void by what other people like, we became what other people needed us to be. so that we could feel valued. And then we carry this into adulthood, and then we wonder why like we need external validation. So that's a big one. People pleasing is huge, huge, huge. So over time, that habit becomes so ingrained, it's just a way of life, and we can't separate like that people pleasing from who we really are. So what happens? We might fear rejection because that means that they don't like us anymore, and we don't know how to deal with that. We might fear conflict because, oh my God, that might mean that somebody thinks poorly of me, or like fighting does not feel safe for me, right? So we continue to prioritize other people's needs over our own like values sometimes. And this can lead to neglecting our own needs and suppressing. This is where the authenticity comes in. We start to suppress like our true self because we want to avoid disappointment or disapproval from others. So let me know, like, can you guys relate as like people pleasing and like connect the dots of where this comes from? Does that make sense? Yeah, I'm seeing some nods. Okay. So I guess it's just important to know like the root of people pleasing helps us to see how it feeds into that self-doubt, because we don't know how to trust ourselves. So we're gonna come back to that later, but like that's a big one. But by recognizing these patterns, we can start to shift our focus from that external validation to internal validation, building a stronger sense of self-worth and self-confidence. So there was a lot of number 4s too, so we'll touch on the negative self-talk. I can't be alone here with like, I call her the crazy lady in the attic. Like, that bitch doesn't shut up. Like, it can be nonstop with the negativity. And you really, 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 we have to just retrain it. We have to retrain our brain, because it undermines our self-worth. Like we might feel one thing, and then like the negative self-talk goes, and then we're like off the rails, right back to like feeling inadequate and like second guessing ourselves. And it can really overshadow like all of our accomplishments. And like, I guess what's coming to mind too is like, think about, I'll use social media as an example. So say like you're on social media and you post something and you have like 50 love, like comments, and everybody's like, woo. And then you get that one negative comment, and that's all that you can focus on, and like ruins your day, and you're stewing over it. And like, why is that? Why is that one negative comment, even though we had 50 positive comments, why is that the one that we focus on? Because we're wired for negativity. It's just like, it's just evolution. It's what happens. And it's unfortunate because it can really jack us up. That one negative experience can kind of like derail us, but it happens. And it happens, again, usually in childhood. We have like, usually as a parent, unfortunately, or like peer influences. It can happen in school too. If we grow up like around critical people, we might internalize those negative comments, and we don't do it on purpose, but like, when you're growing up, up until like 0 or birth to 8 years old, like you take everything as a belief. We don't know how to discern, like you just assume that everything's true. So if you hear a negative comment, you internalize that, and that becomes a belief for you. So if you ever heard like you're not good enough, or like if you ever compared to a sibling, or like so and so, or your friend is so quiet, is so nice, is so thin, and you internalize that, and you're like, that means I'm less than, and you automatically compare yourself, and that sticks with you like throughout adulthood. So peer influences can be a factor. Society, culture, definitely a factor. Media, oh my God, we're like constantly comparing ourselves to other people, and like filtered other people, right? So that can be really harsh and really kind of question all the things. Personal experiences, like if we've ever had a failure or made a mistake or a traumatic experience, all of this plays into like the negative dialogue that runs in our head that can like shame and blame us. So it's really strong, that negative self-talk. So over time, we can create the habit of negativity kind of being like our normal, where it takes so much extra effort to like have positive self-talk. It's a practice, it really is. And last thing I want to say here before we go to the next slide is that, what is a belief? A belief is a thought on repeat. So take that in. A belief is just a thought that you've had on repeat that you have started to believe. So we might second guess our choices, avoid taking action, miss out on opportunities because we don't believe in ourselves, because we have that belief that had told us we weren't good enough, we weren't smart enough, we weren't something enough. So let me just pause because I spoke for a really long time. Is that all like making sense? Do you guys have any questions? I'm just gonna check the chat. Yeah. Lots of people resonate with the crazy lady in the attic. Yes. Yes, yes, she is loud. Okay, I'm glad that I'm sorry that we all have crazy ladies living in our head, but I'm happy that it resonates with you guys. So thank you. Okay. So I want you just to, if you have your notebook, awesome. I want you to think about what story you're telling yourself. So how do you speak to yourself on a daily basis? Feel free to share or just write it down. But I want you to be honest, like what is your inner dialogue? Are you kind? Are you encouraging? Or are you critical? Are you doubtful? When you make a mistake, do you say, it's okay, everybody makes mistakes? Or do you like, oh, such an idiot, I can't believe I did that? What about when you look in the mirror? Do you see somebody worthy and capable? Are you kind to her? Or do you see flaws and imperfections? And just kind of be honest and take some notes of like, what is, and another way to think of this too is like, the thoughts that you have in your head, would you say them to your child? Would you talk to your best friend that way? Usually that answer is no. Like the things I think about myself, oh my God, if I said to my kid, terrible. So just a moment of reflection with story. And again, if anybody wants to share, please prove me wrong. I want to hear somebody say that they say really, really, really nice things to themselves. But if you don't know, that's normal. No judgment. Okay, so be brutally honest. Feel free to share later too if you want. And just first before we move on, like why does this matter? Because our words are our wand. Our words are magic. Our words are powerful. They shape our perception of our reality and influence our behavior. So that's important if you really think about that. If you constantly tell yourself that you're not good enough, you're going to believe it. If you constantly tell yourself that you're not smart enough, you're going to believe it. The belief affects your action. So what you believe about yourself is how you're going to act. It's going to affect your decisions moving forward, if you're worthy or not. So it's important. This is like potent, powerful stuff. So if you're telling yourself the story that you're not a good public speaker, you're not going to apply to be a public speaker. You're going to miss out on opportunities. Fear and doubt are going to like take over. Over time, you're going to miss out on so many abilities to showcase your skills and share your story because you believe that you're not a good speaker. But if you have a growth mindset, if you start telling yourself a different story or acknowledge that you have room to grow, you change that narrative. Maybe you say, I'm still learning, I'm still fine tuning things. I can practice, I can get better, but I know at my core, my voice matters and that I can help somebody. And you can see how those stories are going to lead you down different paths. So that's just an example, but I hope that resonates. So, okay, here's our 5 tips. 5 tips. Step 1, get out your notebooks. Become aware of your self-limiting belief. So many people go their entire lifetime without understanding that they're the ones that are holding themselves back. It's kind of like that victim mentality, but I think to get over anything, we have to acknowledge that like there's an issue and that we have a self-limiting belief. So these are like invisible chains and they're keeping you from reaching your full potential. This is the negative narrative that you're telling yourself, often without realizing it, because usually the work that we're doing today is all at the subconscious level. So I could give you all kinds of tips, right? For fake it till you make it and wear clothes that look good and X, Y, and Z. But if we don't address it at the subconscious level, those things are not going to stick in the long term. So first of all, what is a self-limiting belief? It's those thoughts and assumptions that convince us that we're not capable, we're not worthy, we're not deserving. Negative, negative, negative. They sound like I'm not smart enough. I don't have the skills to start my own business. I'm not attractive enough to find love. So like really that crazy lady, right? She's still going. So they're deeply ingrained, and they usually, we said this, but they usually stem from childhood. So that's too bad, so sad, but it's true. And just we reinforced it with that negative self-talk. So the problem is then we believe this is a fact. And when something is a fact, we're very resistant to change. So then they shape our actions, we said, in our beliefs, in our ultimately our reality. So awareness has to be the first step. So first, does anybody like have any limiting beliefs that you're like sure of right now? And you, again, you can take yourself off mute, you can share it in the chat, or you can just like write it down if you know that you're working through something. Yeah, Bonnie, good job saying that in the mirror. I'm just looking at the chat real quick. Not feeling worthy. Carly, I am definitely wanting to explore that. What if it's true? So that would be probably a good question once we get through the 5 tips. So let's come back to that for sure. Feeling not worthy, not deserving. Yeah. Okay. So write down a limiting belief that you have. And if it's not coming to you right now, that's fine, because as we go through the process, something might come up. Okay, so step 2 is now we get to be the scientist of your own life. So you're going to identify that you have to just identify a belief that you want to work on. And then start by writing down, I think writing it down makes it like a little more tangible to work with, because then you can kind of peel back the layers of that belief. So now let's play detective. Ask yourself, is this belief true? So Carly, you're kind of on that, like, is it true? And I would maybe have to know a little bit more specifically to like help you through that, but is it yes or no? And then or is it just something that you've been telling yourself? Like, do you believe it because you've been telling yourself for so long, or like, is it actually true? And then what evidence do you have for this? So like, look for real concrete evidence that supports or disproves that belief. So for example, if you believe I'm not good enough, I want you to find instances where you did succeed, and then where you did get positive feedback. So then you're going to find out, where did that belief first come from? This can kind of, you might have to do this in meditation, or you might have to like, when you're not receiving all this information, kind of sit and just say like, what is the origin of this belief? Was it a past experience? Was it somebody else's opinion? Did it come from like society? Where did this belief come from? Because then you can look at it more clearly and really start to like peel back the layers of like, when was the first time I started feeling this way? And that can be pretty powerful. And sometimes it's painful to look at, but again, if we don't know it's there or where it came from, how are you going to change it? So this is pretty powerful work. I want you to be open-minded through this process, and it might not be obvious at first. So again, this might be something that you have to revisit of like, where did I first pick up this belief about myself? And sometimes we hold on to these beliefs because they're so familiar that it becomes like our normal and comfortable, but even though it's not really serving us. So challenging your beliefs can be, it's not about being hard on yourself. That's what I wanted to say. It's about understanding and reshaping them to support your growth and your confidence, because that's what we're here for. Is once we start to uncover these, we can really get to like what is making us not feel confident. So now you were the scientist, you went back to that memory, you went back to that belief. And step 3 is to challenge the story. So is this story true? The first step in challenging the story is going deeper And what evidence do you have to support this? So it's not about proving yourself right or wrong. We're like way past that, but it's gaining a clearer understanding of your reality when that belief happened. Because again, sometimes we were like 8 years old when this happened, and we don't know the impact that like what that kid said. Somebody called me ugly, somebody thought I looked like a boy, and now I have this belief about myself that like I've carried into adulthood, and I didn't know where it came from. So that's why we're like being such an investigator, is getting really curious about like, why do I feel this way, so that we can then dispel it, because now our adult mind knows better, but we're trapped in that childhood memory that made us feel unsafe, unworthy, unlovable. So I want you to come up with 3 accomplishments that prove that story wrong. So let me know if you need help with this. And again, you might have to like jot down a couple and then really think on this and come back to it. But I want you to also look for patterns in your thinking. So are you always focusing on the negatives? The example is, do I tend to ignore successes and only dwell on failures? You can also reflect on, for this example, what was if the story you're telling yourself is I'm unlovable, we'll use that example, and not deserving of love, then for this example, you would think about people in your life who love you and care about you. Have friends or family members checked in on you. You would want to consider moments where others have expressed gratitude just for an appreciation for you being in their life. Maybe you recall times when you felt connected to others, even if they were brief moments, even if they're not your family. Like, can you come up with instances where you did feel loved and people did show you appreciation? Probably yes, right? But we connect to these stories that we're unlovable because this thing happened to us, and then we get stuck in that pattern. So this is just an opportunity to really challenge your story and look for like where your mind wants to bring you into the negative and like crush your confidence. Stop me if we're going too fast. So the next step 4, is reframing those negative thoughts. Well, so just an example would be if you're saying I'm terrible at public speaking, you want to reframe that into a positive. So I'm improving my skills. If your negative thought is if I don't do everything perfectly, here's that perfectionist pattern. People will judge me. Well, how do you reframe that? Perfectionism is impossible and unnecessary. Doing my best is enough, and people will appreciate my effort and my authenticity. And we know that at a conscious level, we know that's true, but that negative mindset is so easier to go to, and that we feel like we need to be a perfectionist. We feel like we need to show up. We feel like we need to like over deliver. So again, the step here is just starting to like reframe these thoughts when they creep in. And it's practice, right? Because confidence is a muscle. So it's going to take some time. Another example, excuse me, I have to handle everything myself. So where are my independent women at? I feel like a lot of us, yeah, I feel like a lot of us have this negative belief is like, I don't want to say it's controlling. I think it's like an independent personality trait is like, I'll just do it. I'll handle it. I'm the only one that's going to do it right. But what we don't realize is like, that's a negative belief that came from somewhere. And can you look at that in a positive? It's like, I know that asking for help is a sign of strength, not a weakness, right? Like we can delegate. It's all good. We might do it better. But the point is that like it's not weakness. We don't have to like prove ourselves, because that's what that like controlling is. Like I need to prove myself, right? So reframing negative thoughts. Let me just check. Lulu, it seems easier for me to ignore my successes and only recognize failures. Yeah. And then someone acknowledges it and I realize it's true, almost like I can't enjoy it unless someone acknowledges it first. I can totally, totally relate to that. And I think that's that, right. It's like what we need to be seen. And I bet you identify as like a people pleaser too. It's like, why do we need that external validation? Well, probably because we didn't get enough of it as kids. And that's like, I'm super generalizing, but oftentimes like that wound is so deep, even into adulthood, when we've accomplished all these things. Why does it take somebody being like, oh, you did that? Or like, why do we have such a hard time slowing down, right? So like, that's one of mine, is like, my worth is connected to my productivity. And that can be really dangerous for me. And then it's not until like I get burnt out that I realize that like, oh, there's my negative programming running the show again. I think my worth is tied to my productivity. So like on a day off, I can't enjoy it because I'm like, I should be doing laundry, I should be doing the dishes, and I can't just like sit and relax because like, what if I didn't do anything on, it's like, so thank you for acknowledging that, is that it's really hard for us as people, but I think especially as women, to see how far we've come, right? And that's a great way of reframing too, is like looking back and acknowledging like, wow, I'm not the person I was a year ago, 3 years ago. Look how far I've come. And I think sometimes like we almost need to plan that in our planner, is like, I'm going to reflect at my goals this year. I'm going to reflect at like all the things that I did. And Carly says, because we set these expectations for ourselves, so they aren't exceptional. It just is. Yes. Yes. You guys are awesome. Okay. So step 5, how are we doing on time? Is reinforcing the new belief with affirmations. So are you guys all familiar with affirmations? I feel like, yeah, it's definitely becoming more and more popular, and for good reasons. It's awesome. It's really, really powerful. So affirmations are positive statements that reinforce our new belief, right? So we're just getting started on reframing the negative mindset to the positive mindset, and now we're going to really reinforce it with these new beliefs. So they work by creating a new thought pattern, right? So if we're in that negativity kind of thought pattern, repeating these affirmations helps create new positive thought patterns in your brain, and over time, this is going to become your default mindset. So that's what we're aiming towards, to build that confidence, to be more authentic. We have to like create this new pathway, this new like identity almost. So a good affirmation is specific. A good affirmation is in the present. So we don't want to be like in the future. It's like this now, like I attract good things now. I am worthy now. Excuse me. And it's consistent, right? Consistency is key with anything. And it's practicing it daily to reinforce that. Just like I said before, like I wouldn't go to the gym once and expect abs. I wouldn't do one affirmation and expect that my belief is going to change, right? It took how many years with this negative programming? It's not going to take a day or 5 of affirmations to like undo that. So I would just want to reinforce this thought that like stick with it, because it's this is where like the fake it till you make it comes in handy, because even if you don't believe it right away, like consistency, you have to tell yourself over time. Some of you guys I may have worked with, I do this a lot with my coaching clients, of like subconscious reprogramming, which is in my coaching program, which is really, really powerful. It goes a little deeper than the affirmations. I know Lulu, you've been working on it. Let me know in the chat how you're doing with it. But I really can't stress enough, like the consistency is key here. Affirmations remind you of your strength and capabilities. So again, you're going to put them in the present. They boost your confidence. So like, I guess pick a problem area of like where you're not happy, and then write the opposite statement. Because you want to focus on what you want to achieve rather than like giving the fear or the negativity power. So because where your focus goes, energy flows. So if you're saying these positive affirmations, again, a thought on repeat becomes a belief. So we're creating new beliefs for ourselves so that we can boost our confidence and show up like more authentically as who we want to be. So, okay, here, then this next slide is like the magic sauce, because so many people stop here. They get all this information and they're like, woohoo, I learned the 5 steps. I'm going to be more confident. and they try the affirmations for a couple days or a couple weeks, and they're like, I don't really feel any different. And I feel like the same thing happens with meditation. If I had $1 for every time I recommended somebody meditate and then they told me I'm not good at it, I'd be a freaking millionaire, because meditation is hard and nobody sticks with it. But the people that do, they know that it's life-changing. It's a game changer. So this is your magic sauce here, because this is what's going to get you to stick with your affirmations. And I'm going to use myself as an example here. Because here, this is like a real life example. Before, my current self, the hiding self, the not confident self, my goal was to go from a 9 to 5. I was working, just a background, in occupational therapy, which I loved, but I was getting burnt out. My goal was to be a full-time entrepreneur, healer in this like online space. So my current belief was it's impossible to make a full-time salary as a healer. Now, where did that belief come from? Probably people telling me good luck being broke, or like I didn't have a possibility portal. Like I didn't see people making a full-time salary as a healer. It felt really out there. So anyway, this was my current reality. My affirmation to myself was I'm worthy of making a 6-figure income as a healer. So why wasn't this working? Because my reality was I'm only doing it 1 day a week. Obviously, that's not going to bring me a full-time income. My affirmation was I was telling myself every day, I'm going to make 6 figures as a healer, but I would say it and I wouldn't believe it. So like, no wonder it wasn't working for me, because I didn't believe that I could make a 6-figure income being a healer. So I'm giving you this example because, so say your current self is saying, I'm unlovable. And then I'm telling you that your affirmation should be, I'm sexy mofo and men are coming at me. But like, if you don't believe that, like, no matter how much you tell yourself, if your brain catches on that like you're not believing it, it's going to shut you down. So this is what I learned, and this is what helped me, and this is why I want to share it. So because you can't go from here to here, like that's not jiving in your brain, we need to like create these steps. So again, using myself as the example, my current self was it's impossible to make a full-time salary, but my conscious brain was like, you know what? A next step for me feels like I'm a skilled practitioner. I have evidence, right? So I did these steps. Do I have evidence? Yeah. I'm a skilled practitioner. I'm capable of making a full-time salary. I already have evidence of this. Okay. So I sat with that affirmation for weeks until it felt really real and really tangible. After that felt like, yeah, I'm doing this. I bumped up my game a little bit. And I just kind of, I love the universe. I'm pretty woo-woo. I threw out there, if I'm meant to be a full-time healer, I'm open to creative ways to bring money into my business. I sat with that. How does that feel in my body? So like, it felt doable. I am open. I do feel creative. I would love to make more money. So that affirmation resonated with me. So I had to sit with that. And then what do you know, in meditation, I started getting new ideas, do an online course, do this, do that. This affirmation started working for me. In like, this is time, right? So like, again, it's not from here in a week and then I was making all this money, but I let myself live in that energy of I'm open to bringing in more money. Okay, then I stepped up. What comes next? So what can be that next bridge to take me from here to here? People see value in my services. Can I affirm that? Yeah. Are people paying me for my current services? Yeah. Okay, so I can affirm that. That feels real to me. And then I tack on, what's the next step? Now, all right, maybe I'm not making 6 figures, but do I feel worthy of somebody that has the capability to make a full-time income as a healer? Yeah, my brain can get on board with that. So you can see, like, I didn't go from like the negative self-talk daily to like, I'm a unicorn that makes $1 million. Like, we want to be realistic. And I feel like that's where a lot of people give up, is that they go from like the yucky negative to like the magical feeling that like we talk about manifesting, we talk about all these like really high level things, but if we don't have the subconscious belief that we are worthy, it's not going to work. So I I really just want to give you the skills and the tools that it's like we are our own worst enemy. It's not the person that's not hiring us. It's not the other people that don't see our value. It's us. We have to affirm ourselves and we have to build our confidence from within. So let me know like if that resonates. I'm just going to check the chat. Thanks, Lou. Ooh, yeah, good affirmations on Pinterest. Thank you, Carly, for chiming in for Michelle. Okay, and you're giving me some ideas for things to create too. Yes, Pinterest is awesome for affirmations. I'll try to put some more in my newsletters too. If anybody else has any good places, yeah, Pinterest is the only one coming to mind right now for affirmations. And really too, like if you know where you're at with a negative, or like I don't know if that was Michelle that wrote that. If you want, the next slide is like we could take an example right now if somebody wanted to like chime in and we could write steps for you, or just kind of like if you have your notebook, write down like what is your current negative mindset, and then like what is the opposite of like where is your best one. That would be like your current self and then your confident self. And then again, just like helping write those baby steps in between. Is anybody brave? Does anybody like want to share their current self and their confident self? And if not, like, that's fine. This can be homework and just check in and let me know. No takers. It's all good. I guess just give me like a chat or a thumbs up or something in the chat if this is helpful, if you feel like you self-love, self-image. Yep. Struggled my entire life with that. Okay, so self-love. So Toledo. Johnny, is that you? Yes. Do you want to take yourself off mute? Hi. If not, that's okay. I can help you with this. I'm feeling like you might not come off mute, and that's okay. Maybe I'll see you. Okay. Financial limitations. Yep, so that's a big one too. I feel you. Jami will work on this because I know I'm going to see you. And Carly, yeah, so write down like your current, what is your financial limitation, or more importantly, like what is the belief around your financial limitation? And then like it probably sounds like my last one, like if I went from feeling like it's impossible for me to get out of this like rut, and then I want to be a six-figure, I want to make six-figure income. So do something very similar, right? So like write down the steps of where you want to be until you get there. I don't have the resources, right? And is it like you don't have the resources, or your mindset is like shutting you off? Because I bet you're really, really creative, and like there could be additional income ways, and I'm super happy to like explore this with you, but I would definitely start there of like that. So that's your limiting belief, is I don't have the resources. And like, has this been modeled to you? Did other people around you not have the resources? And maybe you just need that possibility portal of seeing somebody else that is doing it, and then taking those like little baby steps of like, how can I creatively bring more income, more possibility, more like I'm thinking abundance mindset, or like a money manifestation thing would be really good to start rewiring your brain from going to like a lack mentality to an abundance mentality. That would be really cool to play around with. And again, I'm happy to help you with that. And Michelle, not sure what my goals are except to continue this healing journey. Yeah, so definitely like what, reflect on like what is healing mean to you, Michelle, and like where do you feel like you need to heal? Is it around like self-worth, self-confidence? And then for, for this affirmation thing would be just picking one area to start with of like, where do you feel like you need the most healing? And again, like sidebar, I'm happy to help anybody kind of like fine tune. Again, I try to keep it general because confidence is such a broad area, but definitely like we can turn this into a coaching call or like whatever anybody needs. But sometimes just taking this information, going back and looking at it and then doing these activities can be really helpful. So I think just for the sake of time, I knew I was going to ramble on and on. Sorry, guys. So how does this relate to authenticity? It's just kind of recognizing authenticity is not being perfect. It's embracing your imperfections. It's right. It's the exact opposite of like nobody's perfect. Nobody. And understanding that our perceived imperfections are just part of what make us us and unique. And by challenging that negative self-talk and reframing your thought, we can then move past the fear of judgment and self-doubt, because that's really at the root of everything. Like we are the ones that hold ourselves back, unfortunately. So let me know if there's any questions or if you just want to like check in and say hi, or let me know. Yeah. What's up, Michelle? No? Okay. Write them down.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
So I have seen you for Reiki. I've seen you for some coaching. Is confidence building something that you would work on through more holistic coaching? Do you think that's the most appropriate avenue?
I'm going to give my backdoor example of like, yeah, I think everything happens at the subconscious level and like that we're storing something. I am a firm believer of like acquiring more information. Like I've read all the books and I have all, and I don't think that's your problem, Michelle, because I feel like we have this in common of like we are natural seekers. And I am more than willing to bet that you have like, you could teach a course on this, right? Like you have all the knowledge and skills. I think you need to do like unlearning of some beliefs that you have and working at the self-worth level and the self-confidence level. So yeah, I think the holistic route is great because you seem open to that. And again, only reinforcing that, like, I don't think you need something more. I don't think you need like a confidence class. I think you need to unlearn some things that you are holding on about yourself.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? And I know it's a lot to process in an hour, and I just like rambled at you guys. So thanks for listening. I tried to stay on track. As you guys are processing, feel free to take yourself off mute. I do just want to share, because I promised that there would be, you guys are the first to know. I have not put this out anywhere. I've been working behind the scenes on a new group coaching program that I'm super excited about. It's called Worthy. It's going to be a guided 6-week, really at the subconscious level. So if anybody's interested, I will be putting those details out. But for everybody that is here live, we'll get 20% off. If you guys are interested, I can share more. So the discounted price for the 6 weeks with the 20% off would be $444. And that will be for, I believe it's going to be 6 straight weeks, and it's going to start, enrollment is going to start September 1st, and the program will start September 15th. So that will run September 15th to October 27th. And it'll be, I haven't picked the dates yet because I want to make sure that everybody can show up live or as many coaching calls as possible. So it'll kind of be a similar format where we meet in a group setting. There's a teaching element. There's always going to be a homework or like a workbook to work on. And then these opportunities for like, individual or group coaching, because the topics will be around self-worth and self-confidence. So kind of like take all the information today and supercharge it. will kind of be what the program will entail with like a pretty lengthy workbook. So it is kind of feels like school, but we have to dig deep if you want to see transformation and change. So I just wanted to make sure that I offered that to you guys first, because you're already showing that you're invested in your healing journeys. So you know, if you're interested, or if you just want to learn more, like no commitment, no money, I'm not taking anything up front. Just tell me and you'll automatically get the 20% off just by like showing up today. You can text me, DM me, email, like whatever. So I just wanted to throw that out there before you guys hopped off. But that's coming up, and let me know if you have questions. Otherwise, thank you for spending your evening with me. I really appreciate it. And, I'm here if you need me. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Oh, Johnny, your birthday. Yay. We have a couple Leos, huh? All right, guys, if nobody has any questions, I'm going to sign off. But thank you again for sharing your time and your energy. I really appreciate it. I hope to see you guys soon. Take care.